Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Have you ever paused to consider where the really big questions you know about our universe, our existence, how we actually know anything, where they first began to be asked? Forget the dusty textbooks. Today, we're embarking on a pretty thrilling journey back to the very dawn of Western thought. We're using our incredible source, Burnett.pdf, as a guide to really explore the minds that dared to look beyond myths for answers.
Indeed, yeah, we're talking about the pre-Socratic philosophers. These are the audacious thinkers who, well, before Socrates, began seeking rational explanations for the world around them. Our mission really is to extract the most important insights from these foundational minds, explore their often surprising ideas, and truly grasp how their groundbreaking questions still echo, in our modern science and philosophy.
That's right. And you'll discover how these early pioneers really set the intellectual stage for literally everything that followed, often arriving at conclusions that are, well, both remarkably prescient and, at times, delightfully quaint. It's a story of intellectual courage, really, audacious leaps of logic. Okay, let's unpack this journey into ancient Greece. Our story begins in Ionia, on the coast of Asia Minor, specifically the bustling city of Miletus. This is where a radical new way of thinking first emerged. What made these Ionian thinkers so revolutionary?
Well, what's truly fascinating here is that the Ionian approach marked a decisive break from the mythological views that had dominated for centuries. Our source highlights that while Greek art and science drew from older Mediterranean cultures, northern invaders inadvertently fostered free thought by checking the growth of stifling superstitions, like those in Egypt and Babylon. So Ionian science was, from its inception, largely secular. When they used terms like theos, which means God, it often simply referred to something ageless or deathless, like a primary substance, not really an object of worship in the traditional sense. It was a profound shift from divine intervention to, well, inherent natural causes.
So it's not just moving away from gods, but a fundamentally different way of asking questions about the world. Looking for inherent natural causes rather than, say, external divine ones. Who are the first to truly embrace this bold new perspective?
Okay, so we begin with Thales of Miletus, around 585 BC. His core idea was that water was the primary substance, what they called the arch. Essentially, the fundamental originating principle of everything. He observed its omnipresence in the world, the Nile's annual inundations, the dew that collects subterranean springs, even the role of moisture in life itself. For Thales, water was the underlying reality, the source of all change and generation.
And he wasn't just a theorist, was he? He had a knack for practical application, too, blending abstract thought with real-world problems.
Absolutely. Thales is credited with introducing Egyptian geometry to Greece. But he didn't just copy rules, apparently. He applied them to practical problems, like measuring the distance of ships at sea or the height of pyramids. Pretty clever stuff. He was even famously said to have predicted a solar eclipse. But here's a delightful detail that kind of shows his mindset. He believed that magnets and amber had souls. This animistic view, while, quaint, reveals a critical insight. Thales was seeking fundamental principles of motion and change within nature itself, moving beyond divine intervention to find intrinsic causes for why things moved or changed.
Right, internal causes, not just gods pushing things around.
Exactly, not divine intervention.
Okay, so from Thales' water, his associate Anaximander took an even more audacious leap. Did he push the idea of a single primary substance even further? Maybe questioning if the ultimate reality could truly be something so specific?
That's precisely the leap Anaximander took.
Yeah.
He introduced the concept of the infinite, or apeiron, meaning boundless or indeterminate, as the primary substance.
Wow.
Unlike Thales' specific water, the apeiron was an abstract, impartial source, from which all definite things arise and to which they eventually return. It's a huge conceptual jump, really, from a concrete element to an abstract, unobservable principle.
And his cosmological ideas, for the time they were truly imaginative, weren't they? What were some of his most striking proposals about the universe?
Oh, they absolutely were. Wild. He proposed that the Earth was cylindrical in shape, with its depth a third of its breadth, and that it swung freely in the center of the cosmos, held in place just by its equal distance from everything else.
Wow.
This is revolutionary. The Earth didn't need a pillar or water to support it. It simply floated due to equilibrium. His heavenly bodies were described as fiery wheels surrounded by air with pipe-like passages through which the fire showed itself, like little vents. Eclipses, he reasoned, occurred when these breathing holes were stopped up. He was making a bold, rational attempt to map out the cosmos.
That's just incredible for that time. And this proto-scientific curiosity, it extended to life itself, didn't it?
It did, yeah. And this is where it gets truly fascinating. Anaximander offered a groundbreaking theory of animal evolution. He believed living creatures arose from the moist element as it evaporated in the sun. And remarkably, he proposed that man, in the beginning, was like another animal, specifically a fish, enclosed in a prickly bark to protect them.
Like a fish.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, enclosed in this bark. This audacious idea isn't just some quirky ancient theory. It's a profound, almost proto-scientific foreshadowing of evolutionary thought, showing an early rational attempt to explain biological origins without divine decree, centuries before Darwin.
Amazing. Okay, and then Anaximenes, another Milesian, brought us back to a more concrete element, right?
Yeah.
But with a new twist that was kind of foundational for explaining how that single substance could become everything else.
Correct. Anaximenes posited that air was the primary substance. But he introduced a crucial, observable mechanism for change: rarefaction and condensation. He explained that rarefied air became fire, condensed air became wind, then clouds, water, earth, and eventually stones. He believed the entire world breathed, which is almost a poetic way of describing this continuous, systematic transformation. Like Thales, he imagined a table-like Earth floating on air, and stars as fiery disks floating like leaves rotating around the Earth. What you're seeing across these Milesian thinkers is this systematic effort to find a single natural explanation for the entire cosmos. From the smallest atmospheric phenomena to the grandest celestial movements, trying to find permanence amidst constant change.
So the Milesians gave us this groundbreaking shift to natural explanations, each trying to find that one fundamental thing. But as we'll see, relying on a single element, well, it presented its own set of challenges, which led thinkers to explore entirely new avenues. Let's head west now to Magna Graecia and explore Pythagoras and his hugely influential school. He's often just known for that theorem, isn't he? But his impact was so much wider.
Pythagoras is indeed known for geometry, but his influence was far broader. It extended into what we might call a comprehensive way of life. He's associated with a profound religious revival, including the doctrine of transmigration of souls, where he himself claimed to have lived many lives: a boy, a girl, a bush, a bird, even a fish. It's quite something.
Wow.
He saw philosophy itself as a purification, a path to escape the wheel of rebirth through intellectual and spiritual discipline.
So a spiritual and intellectual path deeply merged into one, kind of like a whole system.
Exactly. His followers lived a strict lifestyle, including abstinence from animal flesh and beans, famously. Beans.
Beans? Why beans?
Well, the reasons are debated, but it was part of their discipline. And he's famously said to have used music to purge the soul as medicine purged the body. This holistic approach sought to harmonize the mind, body, and spirit.
But the numbers are really key to his philosophical system, aren't they? It seems like it was more than just a mathematical tool for him.
Indeed, yeah, absolutely central. Pythagoras was apparently the first to study arithmetic beyond mere commerce, seeing numbers as the fundamental reality, the very structure of the universe. He represented them visually with pebbles arranged to figures like triangles and squares. You can almost picture it. His school made the crucial discovery of incommensurability, found when trying to measure the diagonal of a square. This meant the diagonal couldn't be expressed as a simple ratio of whole numbers to its side.
Ah, right, the square root of 2 problem.
Exactly. It was a shattering realization for them, apparently. It challenged the very idea that everything in the universe could be explained by neat, simple number ratios. And, critically, he discovered that concordant musical intervals, like the octave, fifth, and fourth, could be expressed by simple numerical ratios like 12 to 6. This suggested a deep mathematical harmony in the cosmos, leading to the profound idea of the harmony of the spheres, where celestial bodies moved in a cosmic symphony.
With such advanced ideas, did the Pythagoreans still imagine a flat Earth, like the Milesians, or did they have a radically different cosmological model?
Not at all. Later Pythagoreans proposed a spherical Earth that rotated on its axis, and remarkably revolved around a central fire. This wasn't the sun, mind you, but the hearth of the world.
A central fire, not the sun.
No, not the sun. And they even posited an antikython, a counter-Earth, on the opposite side of this central fire, partly to explain certain astronomical observations, and partly, it seems, to complete their sacred number 10 for heavenly bodies.
10 heavenly bodies.
This was a truly radical shift from earlier models, making them the first to suggest a moving Earth.
Okay, from numbers and cosmic harmony, let's turn to a sharp-tongued critic of the prevailing views, including those on the gods, Xenophanes. He didn't pull any punches, did he?
Certainly not. Xenophanes emerged as a powerful voice against the anthropomorphic gods of Homer and Hesiod, which he deemed shameful, filled with stealings and adulteries and deceivings. Strong words. He famously stated that mortals make gods in their own image. If oxen and horses or lions had hands, horses would paint the forms of the gods like horses and oxen like oxen.
Ha! That's a great line.
It is. He vividly pointed out that Ethiopians made their gods black and snub-nosed, while Thracians made theirs blue-eyed and red-haired. This was a profound early critique of religious projection, highlighting how culture shapes our conception of the divine.
So was he advocating for a kind of monotheism then, but maybe distinct from our modern understanding?
Precisely. He believed in one God, the greatest among gods and men, neither in form like unto mortals nor in thought. This God moves all things by thought and perceives as a whole, a pure, abstract intelligence. Cosmetically, he thought earth and water were the origin of all things, seeing the sea as the source of all water and wind. He also suggested there were many suns and moons, one for each region of the earth, and clearly understood Iris, the rainbow, as just a cloud. His naturalistic explanations were applied even to phenomena traditionally attributed to deities.
Okay, next we encounter Heraclitus, often called the Obscure. His ideas sound notoriously difficult, but immensely influential, challenging stability itself.
Heraclitus, around 500 BC. He famously challenged the very notion of stability. His most famous idea is that all things are flowing, famously stating you cannot step twice into the same stream because both you and the river are constantly changing.
Right, the flux idea.
Exactly. He saw the world not as a static entity, but an ever-living fire, constantly kindling and going out in measures. A dynamic, ever-changing entity where stability is basically an illusion.
He also had a paradoxical view of conflict, didn't he? Seeing it as essential rather than something to be, avoided.
He did, very much so. Yeah. Heraclitus declared, war is the father of all and the king of all, arguing that the strife of opposites was not a flaw, but essential for the universe's order. He famously said, men do not know how what is at variance agrees with itself. It is an attunement of opposite tensions, like that of the bow and the lyre.
The bow and the lyre. Interesting analogy.
Yeah. For him, wisdom wasn't about knowing many things, but perceiving the underlying unity, this constant tension and change.
A true iconoclast, then, even in matters of religion. He didn't shy away from challenging traditional practices.
He absolutely was. He denounced the absurdity of praying to images and purifying oneself with blood, stating that the mysteries practiced among men are unholy mysteries. Harsh. He called for a deeper, more internal understanding of the divine, a recognition of the underlying cosmic fire rather than external rituals.
And then the ultimate challenge to all this flux and multiplicity came from Parmenides, who essentially argued that change itself was an illusion. His ideas created a philosophical earthquake, right?
Absolutely. Parmenides of Elea, in the early 5th century BC, presented a radical, singular view of reality in his poem. The way of truth is absolute. What is, is. This seemingly simple statement leads to, radical conclusions. Parmenides argued that what is not cannot exist because you can't think about nothing. It's unthinkable. Therefore, nothing can come into being from nothing. Nothing can pass away into nothing, and nothing can move because there'd be no empty space, nothing to move into.
Okay, wait, no empty space, no motion.
That's his argument. Reality, he concluded, must be one, unchanging, immovable, continuous, indivisible, and eternal. A perfect, solid sphere of being.
So, if reality is truly like that, a solid, unchanging sphere, what does this mean for the world of change and motion we perceive every single day?
It means they're illusions. Simple as that for him. If what is full and continuous, there can be no empty space and therefore no motion, no not being for things to arise from or pass into. Parmenides' radical conclusion created a philosophical earthquake, as he said. If reality is utterly unchanging, how can we explain the world of change and motion we perceive? This became the central problem for basically every philosopher who followed him.
And he had this other section, the way of belief, for those who couldn't quite accept such a radical view.
Exactly. That section described the cosmology of mortals who are misguided because they believe in both what is and what is not. They try to have it both ways. It included a dualistic system of light, fire, and night darkness, with a goddess regulating celestial movements. It showed what humans thought was real, based on their senses, even if Parmenides argued it was fundamentally flawed logic.
Okay, so Parmenides' radical conclusions forced everyone who came after him to grapple with this huge problem. How could change and multiplicity exist if what is truly one and unchanging? This led directly to the rise of pluralism, didn't it? A search for multiple fundamental realities.
Precisely. Empedokles of Aegean, a Sicilian, offered a direct response. He accepted Parmenides' idea that what is is uncreated and indestructible, but applied it to four eternal roots or elements: fire, air, earth, and water. Sound familiar?
Yeah, the classic four elements.
Right. He then introduced two divine forces to explain change: love, which brings unlike elements together, and strife, which separates like elements. He effectively atomized Parmenidean beings, suggesting that these eternal things don't change, but their mixture does. Change happens through combination and separation.
And these forces, love and strife, they drive a kind of cosmic cycle, almost like a pendulum swinging between order and chaos.
Yes, exactly. The world cycles through periods dominated by love, where everything is mixed in a perfect sphere, and periods dominated by strife, leading to complete separation. Our current world, Empedokles believed, is one where strife is gaining the upper hand, creating the distinct, perishable things we see and experience daily.
He also had some incredibly interesting biological ideas for his time, didn't he? Blending his elements with the origin of life.
He did, yeah. He theorized that in earlier stages of evolution, organic combinations, limbs, organs arose separately and just wandered around.
Wandering limbs. Seriously.
Yeah, later combining randomly, with successful combinations surviving. A startlingly prescient concept for the era, kind of proto-evolutionary. For human physiology, he focused on respiration through all the pores of the skin, likening it to a clepsydra, a water thief device that demonstrated air pressure. It shows his attempt to explain complex biological processes, not through magic, but through observable, almost mechanical principles.
Okay. Then we have Anaxagoras, who introduced a completely new concept to explain order in the universe, mind, or nous.
Right. Anaxagoras, an Ionian who lived in Athens and actually taught Pericles, offered another pluralist solution to Parmenides. He argued that, initially, all things were together in an infinitely complex mixture, containing portions of everything and everything. He called these infinitely divisible components seeds, or homeomeres, meaning parts like the whole.
So everything contains a bit of everything else.
That's the idea. Every tiny piece of matter contained a bit of everything else, rather than being a pure element like Empedokles thought. He famously stated, "Nothing comes into being or passes away, but there is mingling and separation of things that are," echoing Parmenides, but allowing for rearrangement.
And the ordering force, the intelligent agent that brought all this together and started the separation, that was his big innovation.
This is his major innovation, nous, or mind. He described nous as an unmixed ordering force, the thinnest of all things, that set the original mixture into a cosmic vortex, initiating the separation of the dense from the rare, the warm from the cold, the light from the dark. Critically, nous knows all things and has power over everything. It acts as a divine, intelligent orchestrator of the cosmos, imposing order on the initial chaos.
So a universe made of these seeds, tiny bits of everything, ordered by a cosmic mind, and this leads us right to the very brink of atomism with Leucippos, doesn't it?
Indeed. Leucippos took Anaxagoras' portions of everything and Parmenides' what is, and pushed them to their logical conclusion. For Leucippos, reality consisted of atoms, literally uncuttables, physically indivisible particles because they're full, solid, like a Parmenidean being, and the void empty space. Crucially, he argued the void must exist for motion to be possible, directly contradicting Parmenides.
So he accepted not being as empty space.
Exactly. These infinite atoms, moving randomly in the infinite void, collided and combined through a vortex motion, creating innumerable worlds. This was the birth of a truly mechanical universe, driven by chance and necessity, not by love and strife or an ordering mind.
Wow. We've journeyed through a truly remarkable landscape of thought today. From Thales' water to Anaxagoras' cosmic mind and the very dawn of atomism, what an incredible deep dive into the very origins of our intellectual tradition.
It really is. These early Greek thinkers, whether they proposed a single primary substance or multiple elements, all shared this common quest to explain the world through natural principles, challenging the comfort of myth and tradition. They asked fundamental questions about change, permanence, perception, knowledge, laying the groundwork for all future scientific and philosophical inquiry. Their willingness to question everything and propose grand theories, even if flawed by our standards, is truly inspiring.
It's incredible to see how they built upon, reacted to, and often directly contradicted one another, pushing the boundaries of what could be rationally conceived. It really makes you wonder what kind of intellectual bravery it took back then to propose such ideas, going against centuries of accepted belief.
This raises an important question for all of us, maybe. These philosophers grappled with the gap between our messy, changing sensory experiences and the desire for a single, unchanging, rational truth. In our own time, with all our scientific advances, how do we reconcile what we see and feel with the underlying physical laws and abstract theories that govern our reality? Are we still trying to find that one fundamental truth amidst the everyday flux? What do you think?
A truly thought-provoking challenge to end on. Thank you for joining us on this incredible deep dive. We hope you've enjoyed gaining these fascinating nuggets of knowledge.